Welcome back everyone to another Anime Villainous how-to video. It's me, Chaos in the Sky, and today we're on the third villain from the Bloodbath expansion. So let's get into how to play as younger Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho in Anime Villainous. Toguro is a former human turned into a demon by the infamous Black Club. Having won the Dark Tournament years ago, his wish was for them to make him an all-powerful demon, and they provided. With his incredible strength, Toguro finds nothing a challenge anymore. Until he encounters the student of his former teammate, Yusuke Urameshi. Seeing potential in Yusuke as maybe the only one who can make him fight at his full strength, Toguro threatens Yusuke's loved ones to make him and his allies join the Dark Tournament, where Toguro plans to get the battle he's longed for should they reach the final round. With Toguro wanting to fight Yusuke while at his strongest, his objective in Anime Villainous is of course to reach his own strongest point, which translates to playing his form card 100% power. Doing so is a lot easier said than done though. Let's look at 100% first, to fully understand how we're going to achieve this objective. 100% power is a 3-cost form that puts Toguro at 5 strength. It can only be played if there are at least 8 allies in the challenger pile, which we'll get to in a second. Its second ability is that Yusuke can only be defeated in a clash and if there are no other heroes in Togoro's territory. This means once you enter Showdown, you'll have to defeat all the other heroes before defeating Yusuke and claiming victory. So, how do we get allies into this challenger pile? Simple, with Togoro's villain ability, which is, when a single ally is discarded in a vanquish action against a non-Genkai hero, you put that ally into the challenger pile. Couple of things here. First, make sure you realize that it says single ally. You can't use multiple allies in a vanquish and get them into the challenger pile. It has to be one at a time. Sort of like a tournament match. What are the odds? Also, the hero defeated cannot be Genkai. This is because Genkai is the only hero actually in the Fate deck, as we'll cover later. So you may be wondering, wait, if she's the only hero in the Fate deck, and she doesn't work for the ability, how do we even make use of it? You make use of it by performing vanquishes against the 4 heroes that start in Togoro's territory: Kurama, Hiei, Kuwabara, and Yusuke. Each of these heroes are tiles that start at a location in Togoro's territory. Kurama at First Arena, Hiei at Wilderness, Kuwabara at Hotel Kubikakuri, and Yusuke at Final Arena. This is where these heroes always are. There's nothing in the villain or fate deck that will move them to different locations. These 4 heroes also all have the same ability, which is that when they would be defeated, if Toguro is not yet in Showdown, they aren't discarded. Yusuke has an extra ability, which is that during Showdown, Toguro cannot play forms. More on that later when we get to Togoro's other form card. Another thing to note is that Kurama and Kuwabara both have 4 strength, while Hiei and Yusuke both have 5 strength. A small difference between them, but it can really matter for doing vanquish math with your allies. So, you get a single ally to enough strength to vanquish one of the 4 in-play heroes, and that puts them into the challenger pile. Also, in case it wasn't clear, yes, these 4 heroes will be in your territory until you can defeat them in Showdown, and they do cover actions. Now, before we get to the many allies Toguro has at his disposal, let's look at his other form card, 80% power. With 80%, Toguro goes from 2 strength to 3. Not enough to clash any of the tile heroes like 100% is. The ability, however, is great, as it makes it where once per turn you may either have an ally at your location gain 1 strength, or you discard your form to perform any number of actions covered by a hero at your location. The strength gain is obviously good, as it lets you pump up your allies so they can get into the challenger pile. There is a flaw though, because if you're in 80%, that means you can't put allies into the challenger pile, because you no longer have your base ability. This can work out fine though, because you can discard 80% whenever you want, getting you back to your base ability, and allowing you to take some covered actions while you're at it. And don't forget Yusuke's ability, by the way. Once you play 100% power and enter Showdown, you won't be able to play 80% anymore due to Yusuke. Timing is important with 80%, so think hard about when you want to lose it. Again, before the allies, there are 2 more cards we'll want to look at: the effects New Challengers and Rules Set. New Challengers has you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. You choose up to 3 revealed allies, pay their costs reduced by 1 power each, and then play them. Then, you discard any revealed cards and shuffle the rest into your deck. This is one of Togoro's most important cards, as it lets you boost out allies at a discount, as well as manipulate what cards are in your deck to find key cards faster. It has a 1 power buy-in, but even if you hit just 1 ally to play, it pays for itself while letting you discard any card you don't want to see soon, like 100% for instance, which you don't want until the end of the game. The other effect, Rules Set, has you gain 1 power for each location in your territory with an ally. Then, you may either move an ally to any location, or, if you gain 3 or more power with Rules Set, perform a vanquish action. This is another really big deal for Toguro. Power gain is always great, and none of Togoro's cards aside from Rule Set cost 0, so he needs it. But more importantly, if you have enough allies at different locations, Rule Set will let you perform vanquishes, which as we know, you have to do at least 8 of them to win. But if you play Rule Set without enough allies about, or you just don't have a vanquish ready to go, you can at least still use it to reposition an ally to wherever you want. Rule Set is a vital and versatile piece of Togoro's game plan. Now we'll get to the allies. Toguro has 15 unique allies, which is a lot. They all involve strength gain, because they all start at 2 or less strength, and then have to gain strength to be able to defeat a hero, and they all do it in different and unique ways. Let's start with his own team members, Karasu, Bui, and Elder Toguro. Karasu's ability is that when Toguro moves to his location, you may have an ally with a strength of 1 or more lose 1 strength. Then, have 2 other allies each gain 1 strength. This is only a net gain of 1 strength, but being able to put that strength on specific allies no matter where they are is a huge boon. Also keep in mind that Karasu can target himself, whether to lose the strength or to gain it. Next is the most expensive ally, Bui. Before Toguro moves, if Bui has a strength of 4 or less and there are no other allies at his location, he gains 2 strength. Bui starts at 1, which means that in just 2 turns with no help from other allies, he gets straight up to 5 strength, letting him take on any heroes. Third is Togoro's own brother, Elder Toguro. He has 2 abilities, first of which is that once per turn, you may move a +1 strength token from Elder Toguro to any ally. His second ability is how he gets those tokens, because when Toguro ends his turn at Elder Togoro's location, Elder Toguro gains 2 strength. This is another very versatile way to get strength to other allies no matter where they are, and it makes Elder Toguro himself very easy to build up for a potential vanquish. That was Team Toguro, so let's move on to another Dark Tournament participant, Dr. Ichigaki. If there are 3 or more other allies at Dr. Ichigaki's location, he gets +3 strength. He has 1 strength by default, so that means he'll go straight up to 4 if the condition is met, putting him on par with Kurama or Kuwabara. Our next Dark Tournament team features 2 members, Chu and Rinku. Rinku's ability is similar to Ichigaki. If there are 2 locations adjacent to Rinku that each have an ally with at least 3 strength, Rinku gets +3 strength. You already want allies at 3 different locations for Rules Set, so this should be a relatively simple step to accomplish, and it'll have Rinku right at 4 strength once you do. Chu, on the other hand, is quite different. Before Toguro moves, you may either pay 1 power to have Chu gain 1 strength, or pay 3 power to have Chu gain 2 strength. He can be a bit of a power sink, but Toguro can often end up with a lot of power in the mid to late game after using Rule Set a few times. Chu also is one of the few allies that starts at 2 strength, so he doesn't need quite as much as others to get to a vanquish. Next, we have a set of 4 allies, Urashima, Momotaro, Shishiwakamaru, and Suzuki. We'll look at Momotaro first, another ally that starts at 2 strength, unlike most others who typically start at 1. At the end of Togoro's turn, if there is an ally with more strength than Momotaro at his location, Momotaro gains 1 strength. This makes him a pretty easy ally to set down with some other strong allies and just let him passively gain strength while you focus on boosting different allies. Next up is Urashima. During Togoro's turn, when an ally moves to Urashima's location, Urashima gains 1 strength and that ally loses 1 strength. Notice that this is non-optional. You must have the ally that moves to Urashima lose 1 and then Urashima gain 1. However, it doesn't specify the ally needing to have any strength like Karasu does, so you could take advantage of an ally that happens to already be at 0. We'll look at Shishiwakamaru next, as his ability is very similar. During Togoro's turn, when an ally moves from Shishiwakamaru's location, Shishiwakamaru gains 2 strength, and that ally loses 1 strength. It's the inverse of Urashima, really, and it has the same rule that you can't choose not to have the ability to take place. Also, Shishi gains 2 strength rather than 1, making it a bit easier for him to power up. Last on this team is Suzuki, who pairs very well with his team members. When Suzuki is played or moves to a location that has at least 2 other allies, you choose 2 allies at his new location. They each gain 1 strength. Suzuki has 0 strength himself, which means he pairs very nicely with Shishiwakamaru and Urashima's abilities. He can also buff other allies around Momotaro to help Momotaro build up even faster. Another important point to note for Suzuki is that he can target himself. There have to be 2 other allies that he moves to, which means once he gets there, that at least 3 allies counting himself will be at the location. But he can choose to give himself that 1 strength if he really wants to. Could lead to building him up over time, or letting him be a target for Karasu. Our last team in the Dark Tournament has 5 members, Gamma, Bakken, Toya, Jin, and Risho. Gamma is a little similar to Suzuki, so let's check him out first. When you move Gamma to a location that has an ally, if Gamma has a strength of 1 or more, you may have Gamma lose 1 strength and that ally gain 2 strength. This is a big swing of strength, as +2 to a single ally is hard to come by, so it goes a long way. Of course, it costs Gamma his own strength, but that's really what he's here for. Something important to note is that because Gamma says when you move, just like Urashima and Shishiwakamaru, you can use Gamma's ability when moving to or from either of them before their own abilities trigger. So you can have Gamma still work before either of them weaken him to potentially 0. Next is Bakken, our last ally that starts at 2 strength. His ability is that when an ally is discarded from his location, he gains 1 strength. Allies that are put into the challenger pile are still discarded first, so Bakken can benefit greatly from standing by as you use other allies at his location for vanquishes first, not to mention if your opponent happens to discard one of the allies that he's standing with. Next we have Toya and Jin, who I'm going to talk about at the same time, as they are the only ones with identical abilities aside from their own names. Once per turn, if Toguro is at their location and Toya or Jin has 3 or less strength, you may perform 1 non-fate action covered by a hero at that location, then Toya or Jin, whichever one you used, gains 1 strength. Toya and Jin are both very useful, as Toguro's territory is covered pretty much the whole game. With them, you can use 1 covered action and have them gain strength in the process. They're great targets for allies like Karasu, Urashima, and Shishiwakamaru as well, since it lets you use their abilities more. Then, once they get enough strength, you can toss them into a quick vanquish. Our last ally is Risho, whose ability is that once per turn, when an ally would gain strength, if Risho has 3 or less strength, you may have Risho gain 1 strength instead. Another ally that pairs very well with his teammates Jin and Toya, and has the same 3 strength restriction. Risho can boost himself up whenever an ally you'd rather not gain strength in that moment would, quickly getting himself up to 4 strength. That's all 15 allies accounted for. You need 8 of them in the challenger pile, so just over half. Once you're in Showdown, you can also use the 7 remaining to try and vanquish Kuwabara, Hiei, or Kurama to speed up your endgame rather than having to clash with them all. We do have 3 more cards left to go though, 2 of which are schemes: Overwhelming Power and High Stakes Bet. Overwhelming Power triggers when the targeted player moves to a location that has a character with 2 or more strength in them. Once that happens, Toguro gets to choose an ally from his deck or discard pile, play them for free, then shuffle his deck. As we'll soon see, the Fate deck can discard Toguro's allies, so this scheme is a great way to get back high-value allies for cheap, like the Team Toguro members. High Stakes Bet, meanwhile, triggers when the targeted player defeats a hero, and then lets Toguro choose an ally in his territory to gain 2 strength. There aren't many cards that let Toguro give an ally plus 2 strength in one go, so this scheme can very easily put an ally up to 4 or 5 strength to then be used in a vanquish on your next turn. The final card we have is Reigning Champion. This effect costs 3, and it lets you choose an ally at your location, put them into the challenger pile, and then choose an opponent. That opponent then reveals the top 2 cards of your Fate deck, discards one, and plays the other. This is Toguro's only way to get allies into the challenger pile outside of his ability, and as a result, it is costly. 3 power and needing the ally at your location is already a lot, but it also has your opponent essentially fate you. In exchange, at least, the ally can have any amount of strength, which can really help when you just have 1 ally left to go. We've gotten through the villain deck, now it's the Fate deck, and we're starting with the only hero, Genkai. Genkai is a 3-strength hero whose ability is that Toguro cannot perform covered actions at Genkai's location. Being 3-strength means that Genkai is pretty easy to deal with, and can actually be clashed by Toguro's 80% power form. You'll definitely want her gone quickly, because stopping Toguro from using 80%, or Jin and Toya, can be a major setback for him. While that's our only hero, we do have 2 items in the Fate deck, Botan and Koenma. Botan attaches to a hero and makes it where if Toguro is not in Showdown, all heroes in Toguro's territory get +1 strength. This is a major annoyance as it means you need 1 more strength for any vanquishes, and Toguro already has his work cut out for him getting his allies high enough to the default values. Koenma also attaches to a hero and makes it where if Toguro is not in Showdown, he must defeat that hero before defeating other heroes in his territory. This will force you to defeat whatever hero the opponent picks before you can target any others, which means it's probably going on Yusuke or Hiei as they have 5 strength. It could also go on Genkai, which is its own kind of annoying. Important to note if you don't realize, if Botan or Koenma are attached to one of the tile heroes, and then when you defeat them, the tile hero's ability makes it where they aren't discarded, the items attached to them still are. So when you defeat whatever hero they're attached to, Botan and Koenma get discarded because of it, even if the hero isn't. On top of that, don't forget that they turn off during Showdown. From here on, the rest of the Fate deck are the special moves of Team Urameshi. First we have Kuwabara's Spirit Sword and Kurama's Rose Whip. Rose Whip looks like it has a lot going on, but it's actually pretty simple. It lets the Fater move an ally from any location to Kurama, and that ally loses 1 strength. Then, the Fater can move an ally from Kurama to any location. once again losing 1 strength. This can let the Fader move one ally to Kurama and another away, or they can target the same ally twice to reposition them and have them lose a total of 2 strength. Spirit Sword lets the Fader choose an ally at Kuwabara's location to lose 2 strength, and then they can have an ally at any location, even Kuwabara's again, lose 1 strength. This can really weaken an ally quick, making it a bit more dangerous to have them sit at Kuwabara, one of the weaker heroes. Our next 2 moves are the Spirit Shotgun and Spirit Gun, Yusuke's signatures. Spirit Shotgun lets the Fader choose up to 3 allies at locations other than Yusuke's, and they each lose 1 strength. A widespread, long-range attack that weakens a bunch of allies at once, taking them just a bit under where they need to be. Spirit Gun, on the other hand, has Toguro lose 2 power, and the one who played it can choose a location. Each ally at that location then loses 1 strength. This punishes Toguro for stacking too many allies at one spot, getting to hit as many as he had in one location, while also taking away some power on top. Now we have the Fate Deck's heavy hitters, effects that represent a special move from each of the 4 heroes. Eden Box, Darkness Flame Sword, Spirit Fly Swatter, and Spirit Wave. Kurama's is Eden Box, which isn't actually a special move of his per se, but it transforms him into his Yoko form, who has a plethora of different deadly techniques. In this case, this effect allows the one playing it to discard an ally from Kurama's location. Then, if Kurama is in Togoro's territory, they may choose an ally at any location. That ally then loses strength until they have 0. That Kurama is a wily one. Hiei's move, Darkness Flame Sword, is up next. This effect lets the Fader move an ally to Hiei's location, then they may discard an ally from his location. Each ally at Hiei's location also loses 1 strength on top of it all. This is the only ally discarder that doesn't really care about the ally being at the hero's location, since it moves an ally to Hiei for him to discard. Because that's just how Hiei is. After that, we have Kuwabara's move, Spirit Fly Swatter. If Kuwabara is in Togoro's territory, this fate will let the one playing it either discard an ally from Kuwabara's location, or choose a location other than Kuwabara's. Each ally at the chosen location will then lose 2 strength. Losing an ally always hurts, but even if Kuwabara can't hit one, he'll weaken a few allies pretty hard. Finally is Yusuke's attack, the Spirit Wave. This one is actually shared with Genkai, unsurprisingly if you know the show. When played, the Fader may discard an ally from Yusuke or Genkai's location, or if Genkai is not in Togoro's territory, they may find and play Genkai to any location. This is either going to hit an ally, which Toguro never likes, or it'll get Genkai in play if she isn't already, which Toguro also never really likes. Important to note that all 4 of these effects only work if their hero is in play. Well, technically Spirit Wave, but if Yusuke is gone, you've already won the game, so same difference. But during Showdown, if you defeat Kuwabara, Kurama, or Hiei, their effects no longer work. Finally, we have the challenge, Dragon of the Darkness Flame. Dragon of the Darkness Flame makes it where all allies in Togoro's territory get -2 strength, making it very hard to do vanquishes, and making some abilities very difficult to do, like Karasu and Gamma. Before Toguro moves, if there is an ally at each location in his territory, he must discard 2 of them to discard Dragon of the Darkness Flame. That's right, he has no choice in the matter. If there's an ally at each location, Toguro has to ditch 2 of them as soon as his turn starts. He typically wants to, but sometimes it can make him discard an ally he would have rather kept a little bit longer. And with that, we've reached the end of Togoro's how-to. A rather boring demon who just makes his muscles bigger. You'll watch Team Urameshi go through an entire tournament before duking it out with them in the finals, at last getting that long-awaited clash with Yusuke Urameshi. If you have any questions about Toguro, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer. Also look at the description for the playlist to see all the other anime villainous how-to videos, so you can learn about any other characters that interest you. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you again for more anime villainous videos in the future. Until then, farewell.